Hey, my name's Tom. Thank you for joining my channel. I'm going to be taking you through a stretch and mobility flow focused on the legs and the hips. All you'll need today in terms of props are 2 blocks and maybe a mat if you have a mat. If not, just find a space. Let's get started. We're going to start lying down. You can come to shavasana, we can start in savasana. We'll be ending in it too. Or you can bring the soles of the feet together. Given this is a hip-focused class, we can come into Supine and just let the knees roll out. The further the feet are away from the groin, the less intense this will be. You can bring the hands onto the belly, or keep them on the ground. Let's just take a few moments just to come into the body, arrive in your space, and onto your mat. Bringing awareness into the sensation of breathing. Really using the breath as a tool to stay connected in the body, to keep you focused on stillness in the body as well as in the mind. Remember, when we come into these postures, stretches, and transitions, we're moving from a place of stillness, from a place of calm. And take one more big inhale. Open the mouth, exhale. Release and start to blink the eyes open. Start to hug the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze. And gently move the spine and the hips from side to side, just working into the lower back. Feeling the connection between the spine and the mat. Good. And then take the palms of the hands onto the kneecaps. We're going to start to take the hips through some articulations, nice big circles through the hips. As big as you can. And just really breathing into any areas of tension. And as you exhale, think about letting go of that tension. There's a nice place to start just to kind of gauge where the hips are at. And we're going to change directions. Good. From here, we're going to bring the knees together, bring the knees to roughly a 90-degree angle, take the arms out wide to brace the floor. Breathing in, exhale, start to drop the knees over to the right, just to tap, and then we're going to inhale, come back to center, exhale over to the left, just to tap. Inhale, back to center, exhale over to the right. Inhale to center, exhale over to the left. And you can start to move at your own pace, at the speed of your own breath, finding your own rhythm. We're just mobilizing through the spine. Inhaling to center, exhaling to the right. Inhale to center, exhale over to the left. Good. Inhale back to center. Give yourself a nice big squeeze. And we're going to start to rock backwards and forwards until we start to arrive at a seated position at the top of your mat. I'm going to turn to face you guys. So working on the hips, getting the hips nice and warm. We're going to come to a 90-90 position with the knees. So you can take the feet wider than the hips, feet flat on the floor, take the hands behind you for support. We're going to breathe in and exhale, drop the knees over towards the right. Now, before we continue, know your 90-degree angles. You'll be surprised, many people I teach in person, they're usually like this. So the right foot's very close to the left knee. Just make sure you've got a 90-degree angle at the right knee, at the groin, and at the left knee, and keep the feet flexed. So what's happening here is we're working on internal rotation through that left leg, pressing the left knee down whilst externally rotating through the right thigh, the right femur. Good. We're going to inhale, come back to center, exhale over to the left. Again, just take a few breaths here, just really gauging where your hips and your body is at, and we're going to start to move backwards and forwards with the breath. Good. Inhale back to center. Exhale over to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale over to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale over to the right. Again, just start to find your own rhythm. Feel free at any point just to pause the video, take a few more reps if you need to or feel your body needs it. Good. And when you're done, inhale, come back to center. We're going to extend the legs straight. Now, I know this already might be quite challenging for some of you, so I want you to think about moving forwards with a straight spine. And think about untucking the tailbone. So think cat-cow position. So our cow position where we're kind of arching through the lower back, that's how we want to move through the pelvis. Now, if you just want to keep your hands here behind you, that's going to help you keep your spine long, then just stay here. If you want to start to move forwards, take the hands forwards and start to gently walk the hands forwards. But we're moving with a straight spine. Good. Keep moving, moving. And just come to a point that you're able to hold and sustain with a nice, long, straight spine. Breathing steady, staying connected into the breath. Knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. Feet and legs are engaged. Good. We're going to just walk the hands back. We're going to make this a little bit more dynamic and strength-based. So we're going to inhale, reach the arms up. And again, just moving away, even if it's just this far, just moving away where your spine is long and straight. We're breathing in. Exhale, start to fold forwards, chest proud. Inhale, rise. Exhale, forwards. Inhale, rise. Exhale, forwards. Inhale, rise. Exhale, forwards. Inhale, rise. This one we're going to hover and hold. Exhale, forwards. Hover and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, chest proud, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the hands down and slowly start to walk the hands back. Good stuff, guys. We're going to cross the legs, roll forwards onto hands and knees. So at the top of your mat, in your tabletop position. So we're going to take the hips again through some more articulations. The key is to move nice and slow here. We don't want to be moving fast. We want to focus on strength through the capsule of the hip rather than momentum. And your arms are going to want to bend. So I want you to focus on keeping the arms nice and straight and moving nice and slow. Try and stay consistent with my tempo. So we're going to start through the right side. We're going to take the right knee off the mat. Try not to arch through the lumbar spine. We're keeping the spine nice and still. We're going to take the right knee out towards the right. Bring the right knee in towards the right armpit. Down the forearm for 1. We've got 4 more. We're going to take that right knee up nice and high. Keep the arms nice and straight. Open up through the hips for 2. Bracing through the core. Take the right knee up nice and high. Again, nice and slow. And at that point where you want to speed it up, that's where you've got to slow it down. And down for 3. 2 more guys doing really well. Breathing nice and steady. Good for 4. 1 more. Take the right knee up nice and high. Open up through the hips. And back down for 5. Good stuff. From here, we're going to take that right leg over towards the right. And you're just going to start to move the right foot over. You can move the hands over as well, but we want to make sure the shoulders are stacking over the hands. And once you come to a point, a good 7 or an 8 out of 10 in terms of your kind of stretch capacity, I just want you to start to rock forwards and backwards. Just working into the adductors, the inside of the right thigh. Breathing nice and steady. It's always important that we kind of just don't push our bodies to a maximum point when we're stretching. We never want to kind of reach that end range and not be able to hold and sustain. So always aim for about a 7 or an 8 out of 10, a nice safe range for you to really work into safely. Good. And then slowly start to bring the right foot back, bring the hands underneath the shoulders, returning to your tabletop position. So we're going to move into the left side now. Keep the arms nice and straight, brace through the core, and we're going to take the left knee up nice and high. Open up through the left hip, working into any clicks, into any cracks, knee to armpit, and then down the forearm towards the wrist for 1. Take the knee up nice and high. Keep the spine nice and neutral. Take the knee out towards the side, and at that point where it starts to get sticky and you want to speed it up, that's where you've got to slow it down for 2. Really working into those medial glutes through the side of the hip. And down for 3. And again. Back up for 4 and down. One more time. Nice and slow with control. Beautiful, guys, and down for 5. We're now going to take that left leg over towards the leg and just start to slide it. If you've got socks on like I have, makes it a little bit easier to slide. But we're not sliding to that full range, just a good 7 or an 8 out of 10. And again, we're just going to start to rock backwards and forwards. Just breathing into any tension through the inside of the left leg, into the adductors, insides of the hamstring. So this is really good. Just to stretch and just to feel where you're at. If you're doing a lot of heavy gym-based movements, especially things like lunges and squats, this is a great way to just find a little bit more range, release a little bit of tightness. Good. Nice, guys. Slowly start to bring that left foot back. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders, returning to your tabletop position. Okay, from here we're going to come into a frog pose. So it's a modified side split. We want to take the feet out, and we want to take the knees again to about a 7 or an 8 out of 10. You might be really feeling it here. You might just want to stay on your hands, or you might start to drop the forearms down towards the mat. And I want you to make sure that your hips are pretty much in line with your knees, and just start to rock gently forwards and backwards, just working into the insides of the legs. Breathing nice and steady. And again, just rocking forwards and backwards. Always staying connected with the breath, with your body. And again, breathing and moving from that place of stillness and calm. It's really important as we stretch and mobilize that we're kind of not clenching or, grimacing or coming to a point where, we're finding it super tough that we're having to pull a face. That means we've just gone too far. We need to be able to be really comfortable in these stretches. And just be honest with where your body's at as well. Sometimes we can really just look at a stretch and look at a pose and think, I need to do that. And we gauge, our stretching and our ability based on what it looks like, rather than actually just listening to your body and listening to how it feels. That's real stretching, is just being honest with where you're at and listening to your body. Good, just a few more seconds here. And then slowly start to come back up onto your hands. If you're on your elbows, we're going to bring the knees together. Oh, that feels good. Well done, guys. Returning back to the top of your mat. Good stuff. And we're going to come to downward facing dog. So tuck the toes in and under. We're not going to stay too long in your downward facing dog.
But whilst you're here, just really make sure the hands are shoulder width apart. You're pressing the knuckles down and towards the mat. You're sending the hips up high whilst pushing the shoulders up towards the ears. Think about elevation through the shoulder blades, wrapping through the triceps, drawing the ribs in. Now, if you can't get your legs straight, that's okay. Just work on softening through the knees. Where you don't want to be is here, just because you want to keep the legs straight. Trust me, you're going to fatigue very quickly being here. So just soften through the knees. And, there's one thing I always advise my clients and people in my class is, you can watch all the YouTube videos or watch all the videos on Instagram, but until you actually check what you're doing with some kind of visual representation, such as a mobile phone, you can record yourself, or even a mirror. If you just check what you're doing, very often what we think we're doing versus what we're actually doing are two very different things. So always have that visual representation and that feedback. So from your downward facing dog, we're going to inhale, reach the right leg up, big deep breath in. Exhale, take the right foot on the outside of the right hand towards the right side of the mat. Make sure both arms and hands are on the inside of the right foot and just gently start to rock forwards and backwards and forwards. You can bounce up and down here a little bit. Or you might want to drop the knee down. You might even want to use your blocks and come onto your hands. Maybe lower the forearms down. Again, just working within your range and where you're at today. Good. And from here, you're going to drop the left knee down, come up onto your hands wherever you are. And we're going to walk the hands over towards the left side of the mat. And what I want you to try and do is square off the shoulders with the left side of the mat. Really think about pressing and keeping weight through the right foot. Option, you can still lift that left foot off the mat. You can point the toes, lift the left knee up. Again, just staying connected with your breath and your body. Breathing in. And exhale, start to walk the hands back to center. We're going to take the right hand. I always like to think of this right hand as supporting the knee, and we're just going to start to rotate the chest over towards the right side of the mat. Instead of just thinking about just really pushing it out, think about supporting it. Keep the right toes flexed. We're flexing through the right foot, and we're moving the chest over towards the right, sending the hips down towards the floor. If you want a little bit more intensity, you can lift that left knee off the ground as well. Again, just reminding yourself to work with where you're at, moving from a place of stillness and calm in the body. Breathing in and exhale, release. Good. Now, using your blocks, we're going to come into half split, Ardha Hanumanasana. Now, I want you to think about keeping the hips stacked on top of the left knee, right leg straight. Start to draw the toes back towards the face, keeping the spine nice and long. Good. And you can start to move the toes and the femur essentially from side to side, starting to stretch into the lateral lines of the hamstring, the inside of the hamstring. I really just like to drop the toes to about 2 o'clock, so we're turning the right foot over towards the right. And if you think about drawing the right femur back into the socket of the hip, you'll really start to stretch into the IT band and through the outer edge of the hamstring. It's personally where I'm especially a little bit tight. Good. Now we're going to come into a specific type of stretching called PNF stretching, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, where we are stretching the muscles under tension, under load. And what we're going to do, it's a very subtle movement, is I want you to add a small micro bend through the right knee, just a small bend, and then press the right heel in towards the mat for 10 seconds, about 80% of your power for 10, 9, 8,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Straighten off through the right leg. Already you should start to feel a little bit more relaxed through the back of the right leg. I introduce P&F stretching into a lot of different movement patterns and came from, we were doing this when I was just a kid in gymnastics, really just to get increased ranges in a really safe way quite quickly. So it's a really good flexibility hack. A little often, I wouldn't recommend doing it a lot, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, depending on your body part, but we'll go again. So small micro bend through the right knee, press the right heel in towards the mat, and press for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Good stuff. And one more time. Micro bend through the right knee, press it in towards the mat, and hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Good. Really find length through the spine. Now it's important very often we're told to bring the nose towards the knee and we start to round through the upper back. But if you're folding forwards and you have that range, I want you to think about stretching the chin over the right big toe. So really encouraging good posture here. Really looking towards the toe, staying nice and neutral through the spine rather than rounding. And again, if you've got that visual feedback and you can kind of see that you're in this position, just come to a point where you can really keep the chest nice and proud. Good stuff, guys. Okay, so before we move on to the other side, we're going to come into this left hip opener. Now, you might want to double up or get a cushion for your left knee. We're going to drop the left knee down, come to this nice upright kneeling position. Make sure the right knee is stacked on top of the right ankle. Left hip is on top of the left knee. Now, I like to just bring the hands onto the glutes just to feel where I'm at. And we've got anterior pelvic tilt here, and then we've got posterior, and that's what we're focusing on here. So as soon as we start to tilt that pelvis, we start to really stretch through the front of the left hip, through the left psoas. Good. So if you're unfamiliar with how to kind of get into that tuck position, just think, stick the bum out and then tuck it in. That's where we want to be, tucked in. Make sure that left hip is still stacked on top of the left knee, right knee on top of the right ankle. And if you want to intensify this stretch, you just press the left foot down and towards the mat while squeezing through the left glute at the same time. Really breathing into tension through the front of the left hip. And as you exhale, really think about letting go of that tension. Last few breaths here. Breathing in and exhale, release. Lower the hands down, release the left leg. Good. Okay, changing sides. We arrive back in downward facing dog. This is a nice opportunity just to feel any differences through that right leg, maybe the left hip as well. Just pedal out the heels. We're going to inhale, take the left leg up this time. Exhale, place the left foot on the outside of the left hand, coming into that low lizard position. Again, use your blocks if you need to. Just noticing and feeling into any differences through the legs. Keep the back leg nice and strong. Start to move backwards and forwards, or feel free just to drop it down and hang out here for a little bit. Breathing nice and steady. Good. And wherever you are, just come onto your hands, drop the right knee down. And we're going to start to move the hands over towards the right side of the mat.
Keep grounded through the left heel and the left knee. Again, option here, you can tuck that right toe in and under, lift the right leg off the mat, or keep it grounded. Staying focused and connected into the breath and into the body. Breathing in. And exhale, start to move the hands back forwards. And again, we're going to think about just peeling the inside of the left foot off the mat this time. Placing the hands on the left knee again. We're not just pushing it out. We're keeping a nice level of support through the left leg. And focus on where we're going to increase the intensity here is by moving the chest more over towards the left and sending the hips down towards the mat. And again, if you want to add some more intensity, just lift the right knee off the mat. You can tuck the toes in and under as well. Just breathe nice and steady. Breathing in and exhale, slowly return back to center. Again, using your blocks. Nearly there, guys. Doing really well. Start to straighten off through the left leg. Keep the hips stacked on top of the right knee. Keep the spine nice and long and the chest nice and proud. Good, again. Hips are on top of the right knee. Left leg nice and straight. Chest is proud. And we're drawing the left toes back towards us. And again, just start to move the toes from side to side. Just observe where you might be feeling this tension. Breathing into it slowly, mindfully, and with compassion. Very often we can want to just force our body into these stretches and positions when they're just not ready. So really just take the time and take the compassion you need to feel at ease. And again, just always working within that range of a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Good. So we're going to come back into that PNF stretching. So we're going to add a small micro bend through the left knee and then press the left heel in towards the ground for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then relax. Straighten the leg again. Again, you should already start to feel a little less tension. Results are super quick with this style of stretching. And micro bend through the left knee again. Press it into the ground for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Press 3, 2, and 1. And just relax for a little bit. Good, and once more, small micro bend through the left knee, press the left heel in towards the mat, and hold for 10. Press 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Good stuff, guys. Again, just relax and holds here. Really make sure that we're moving forwards, if we are moving forwards, with a nice neutral spine. We're not rounding through the upper back. Again, you don't have to use blocks here. I mean, I'm pretty mobile and pretty flexible through the hamstrings, but I still like to use blocks. It just really encourages me to keep a nice neutral spine and just move with length and good posture. So if you haven't got any blocks, you can use some books or anything that's a little bit stable, but I'd recommend getting some blocks. There's so much that you can do with them that can really help aid and support your practice. Good. And then slowly start to bend through the left knee. You can take the blocks to one side. Nice upright kneeling position. Again, double up for your right knee if you need to. I always need a little bit of extra cushioning. If you need any more, grab a cushion or anything else. Left knee on top of left ankle, and the hips are stacked on top of the left knee. Now,
this is probably one of the most effective ways of coming into full extension through the hips. So in yoga, we've got a pose called Anjaneyasana, which is a beautiful pose, nice heart opener, as well as like a hip opener. But the risk that we have here is compromising through the lumbar spine. Whereas here, we just kind of eradicate any compromise of the lumbar spine, and we just isolate through the front of the hip and the right hip in this instance. So again, let's just kind of feel where our hips are at. We don't want to stick the hips back and out, that anterior tilt. We want to tuck the tailbone in and under. Good, and really start to squeeze through the right glute. Press the right foot down, in towards the mat, and breathe into the front of the right hip. Breathing nice and steady. Good, last few breaths here, really squeezing that right foot down, squeeze through the right glute. Breathing in and exhale, release. Good job, guys. Lower the hands down. We'll come back to our final downward facing dog. Again, just a nice chance to just really feel and notice any differences through the legs and through the hips. Can pedal out the heels just a little bit. Good. Beautiful work, guys. When you're ready, we're just going to lower the knees down. Cross the legs behind us and take a seat. Bring the hips into the center of the mat. We're going to come back to that 90-90 position. So remember, we kind of want to make sure the right thigh is in line with the right side of the mat. We're going to start with the right side, and the right shin is parallel with the top of the mat. And as we look back, we've got a nice 90-degree angle through the left leg and through the groin. And why I really like this posture is it creates space in the knee, and it allows us to effectively externally rotate through. There are so many reasons why this is a better way than just a traditional yoga pigeon. And this is coming from a yoga. I mean, if you can see, I'm going to try and zoom in here. But as I start to move forwards, there is an internal rotation happening through the right femur. Now, whilst I can square off the hips much easier here, I'm not getting the stretch as much as I can at a 90-degree angle through the back of the right glute and the right hip. And also, you run risk of really running torsion through the knee and twisting at the knee joint. So the knee joint is a hinge joint. You know, it's not as mobile as the hip. We need to make sure that we're not kind of pulling at that hinge. And I've had, through yoga and through unawareness and through bad teaching, years ago, I've torn my medial meniscus through this way. So I'm really, really specific about how I get people to come into a pigeon pose. Now, start at 90-90. This is a much more accessible way for a lot of people that really struggle here, but we always bring it back to intention. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to stretch? And that is through the back of the right hip. So what I like to do is I want to get my right hand and really think about turning that right femur out, externally rotating. We're going to take the left hand onto the right foot. Big inhale. And big exhale, start to move forwards, move the chest forwards, move with a nice neutral spine. We're going to press that right knee in towards the mat for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Good, and now you might want to take the hand off the knee. Make sure we're still focusing on that external rotation through the right thigh. We're staying mindful there. Moving a little bit deeper if it's available to you. Start to press the right knee down for 5, press 4, 3, 2, 1, release, and one more time. Fold forwards a little bit deeper if it's available to you. Press the right knee down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now just start to stretch and release. Good. And again, just be mindful of what's going on through that right leg.
How much of the stretch are you feeling through the back of the right hip? If you want to feel a little bit more, you want a little bit more intensity, you can start to extend that left leg back. And whilst the hips are not square, that's okay. We just want to focus on what we're really stretching and feeling into in the back of that right hip. And in time, you can slowly start to rock that left hip towards the mat. But as you rock it forwards, just check, is the inside of that right knee rolling in? Are we potentially running torsion through the knee? You might want to use your blocks just to rest your head down. You can make a fist with your hands. Keep the right foot nice and flexed. We're never really relaxing through that right foot at all. You can keep your hand on the right foot. Good, just a few more breaths. You're doing really well, guys. And inhale, slowly start to walk the hands back. Good stuff, guys. And we're going to take that right knee back, come to tabletop position, and just start to circle out through the right knee. Nice big circles. Change directions, working into any clicks and cracks in the hip. And then when you're ready, drop the right knee down. And we're going to change sides. So we're now going to bring the left shin parallel with the top of the mat. And just make sure the left thigh is also parallel with the left side of the mat. And same with the right leg. 90, 90, 90. Again, really think about what we want to achieve here. We want to stretch through the back of the left hip. So think of that external rotation through the left femur, the left thigh. Keep the right foot nice and flexed. Again, you can hold on to it, optional, just to really feel what's happening as you move forwards and backwards. We're breathing in, moving with a nice, long, straight spine. Exhale, start to move forwards. And we're going to press the left knee in towards the mat for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Again, you can start to move forwards a little bit more if it's available to you, and then we're going to start to press that left knee down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release, and one more time, maybe move forwards a little bit more if you can, and then press the left knee down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release, and then just start to lower the chest down and stretch. Again, move in a way that is nourishing and accessible and available to you. Keep the left foot flexed. If you want to increase the intensity, you can start to extend that right leg back. Keeping the left knee exactly where it is. Maybe rocking the right hip towards the right side of the mat. Just finding your edge, your 7, your 8 out of 10. And just breathe, stretch, and hold here. And you'll see that my hips are super open, and that's okay. Don't worry about placing a block underneath the hip. Breathing into any tension. Exhale, letting go of the tension. Just a few more breaths here, guys. Good, and inhale, slowly start to walk the hands back. We're going to take that left knee back, arriving in a tabletop position, and just start to circle out through the left knee, nice big circles. Good, and then place the left knee down. We're going to cross through the legs, send the hips back, and take a seat. Bring the feet to the corners of the mat and the hips into the center of the mat. Just reach the arms forwards, big deep breath in, and exhale, slowly start to unravel the spine down towards the mat. Let the shoulders, the head, the neck all connect. Good. And we are going to finish where we started. Take the hands onto the knees and just spend some time opening up into the hips, into the legs. Circling the knees out, nice big circles. Change directions. Amazing, guys. And then when you're ready, place the feet on the ground. Coming into shavasana, extend the legs out to the corners of the mat. Let the feet roll out, let the hands and the arms roll out, palms to the ceiling. Take a big deep breath in. Open the mouth, exhale. Release. And again, big deep breath in. Open the mouth, exhale. Release. Once more, big inhale. Open the mouth, exhale. Release. Start to let go of any tension in the body, in the breath. Allowing for stillness in the body. Allowing for stillness in the mind. Feel free to stay in your shavasana for as long as you need to. Whenever you're ready, start to bring some movement back into the fingers, the toes, the wrists, the ankles, the knees, the elbows. On the next inhale, reach the arms up and over the head, stretch tall, breathing in. Full body stretch and exhale, hug the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze, a generous hug. Gently take the spine from side to side once again. When you're ready, just start to roll to the right side using your right arm as a pillow. And then taking your time, slowly begin to arrive at a seated position at the top of your mat. Keeping your eyes closed and your senses drawn inwards. Find length through the spine. Bring the hands in towards the heart center. Thumbs to sternum, fingers to ceiling. Take a big deep breath in. Exhale, bow your head forwards, chin to chest. Taking the time to thank yourself for today's practice, for bringing your efforts and your energy onto your mat. Having no judgment of your body or your ability, nothing but love, gratitude, and compassion. And slowly start to blink your eyes open, gazing down. Inhale, take your gaze forwards. Namaste. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If there are any questions or feedback, please feel free to leave them in the comments below or reach out to me directly. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, guys. Thank you.